Okay, so today we're going to talk about the price elasticity of demand. This is the measurement of how responsive demand is to changes in price. We know if price goes up, there's an inverted relationship with demand, so demand goes down. But what we really need to know is how much demand will it go down. So, for example, if coffee goes up from €1 to 1.10, we know coffee will go down in quantity consumed. Maybe 4 million cups goes down to 3.5 million, or maybe 375,000 cups of coffee. We really need to know how much it will go down. And this idea of, does it go down a lot or a little demand? We call it elasticity. Is demand elastic? Does it change a lot or does it change a little? So it's inelastic. We've got a graph that shows an inelastic demand, and the demand is very vertical. We've got a price has gone down to here, and we can see the price change has been considerable, but the demand has gone up by very little. So we can say here it's quite inelastic. It doesn't change much. It's not very responsive to the price change. Alternatively, it could be elastic. Here, the demand curve would be quite horizontal. Here we see the price has gone down again, but by a little bit, and that has a big impact, a big increase on the quantity demanded. So we can say it changes a lot, so it's elastic. There is a measurement. We need to know if something is price elastic, the demand is price elastic or inelastic, and there's a measurement. So we can say the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. And if it's more than one, it's elastic. If it's less than one, it's inelastic. Let's think about this. So maybe coffee goes up 10% to 1.10, from €1 to 1.10, and maybe the demand has gone down by 50%, from 4,000 to 2,000 cups consumed. So 50 over 10 is 5. That's more than one, so it is very elastic. And we can see how that calculation, really represents that the demand has really responded a lot, because it's more, the percentage change is more than the price change. Therefore, it's more than one. Normally this calculation would be a negative, wouldn't it? Because it's got an inverted relationship, so the demand would be negative. It would go down 50% if the price goes up by 10%, or maybe the price goes down by 10% and the demand will go up, so it will remain a negative. But the negative is not important, so we don't state whether it's a positive or negative outcome. The elasticity is positive or negative. The important thing is it more than one or less than one? Now, why is this so important? This is important for businesses when they're considering their total revenue. Remember, total revenue is price multiplied by quantity demanded. Because obviously if I've got 10 products and they're they cost €1 each, and people want 10, the demand is 10, so I sell 10. Obviously, my income will be 10, the total revenue will be 10 euro. Now, we need to know if it's elastic or inelastic, because when the demand is priced inelastic, we know if we put prices up, demand won't go down that much, so the total revenue should go up. And also, if we put prices down, if it's inelastic again, we're not going to increase total revenue. So we need to know that. If we know, price is inelastic, we're not going to want to put prices down because we know they buy our products anyway. It won't increase that much, and we're a bit more prone to put it up. If it's elastic, it's the opposite. If it's elastic, we're more prone to put our prices down because we want to increase market share. We want more people buying because we know that will increase our total revenue. Whereas if we put prices up, we know total revenue will take a hit because a lot of people will stop buying. So it's very important, this elasticity for businesses to understand, whether they're elastic or not, because they need to work out a price strategy and consider the effect on total revenue. We've got these three special price elasticity of demand values. Here, for example, this one, demand is totally inelastic. So it doesn't matter what price it is, it's always the same. It's always this quantity, 100. So that's very theoretical, but we can imagine that could be for something. Maybe if we sold air, if we had to one day buy air, doesn't matter what the price, that would pay for it, whatever. The demand would, and we wouldn't need more than what we breathe. So it would always be the same quantity demanded. Here, the price is always fixed at 9, and we always buy whatever's supplied. So if the supply crosses here at 140, then we buy 140 at 9, or maybe supply. So we buy whatever's supplied. This is perfectly elastic. Again, it's a very theoretical world, but it's represents the extreme of a perfectly elastic demand. Here, a unit elastic. This is when it's 1. Price elasticity is 1. So it's not inelastic or elastic. Remember, more than 1 is elastic, less than 1 is inelastic. And when it's 1, it's unit elastic, and the curve is actually curved like this, because the higher you go up, the smaller the percentage change in price, whereas it's inverted here, so the larger the change in demand, and vice versa. The higher the demand goes up, the smaller the percentage change will be, yet the percentage change on the lower values for price will be higher. So it ends up, a 1 looks like that. Now, what determines the price elasticity of demand? What is its determinants? For example, the main one we can say is number of substitutes. We know if there's lots of substitutes, it's very elastic. We can imagine ourselves, for the cereals, breakfast cereals, if one cereal goes up, becomes very expensive, I can just change very easily because there's lots and lots of substitutes. So that would determine the elasticity, that would make it more elastic or less elastic if there's fewer substitutes. Price of the product in relation to the income. If people must spend a lot of money, they're going to be thinking very carefully about whether to spend it or not. If there's an increase of 10% on a car in Turin, maybe I think, I'll look around, maybe I'll try and get a car outside of Turin if it's, try and find a better price. But a coffee, if the price goes up 10% for a coffee, probably I'd buy it anyway and wouldn't think much about losing 10 cents instead of hunting for another bar. So the price of the product in relation to my income will make it more or less elastic. The higher the price, the more elastic it becomes. Cost of substituting between products. For example, when substituting costs are high, so for example, if I go to a gym and I have to pay a membership of €100 and then I pay every month, that would mean to change the gym, I would have to pay another down payment of €100. That is the cost of changing. So if the cost of changing between products is high, then it's going to be less elastic. You're going to have a product or service in this case more inelastic, more certain that you can put up the price of the monthly installments. Brand loyalty and habitual consumption. Brand loyalty, if you can develop a brand loyalty through advertising or maybe, we see these shops with the loyalty cards, so they start spending, the more they spend there, the more they can save points and maybe they'll get money back, etc. That keeps people loyal, and that means that what they're doing becomes more inelastic. And habitual consumption, people get used to maybe having a coffee in the morning. They don't want to change. So, that can make it more inelastic. And degree of necessity. So if we really need something, that will make it much more likely it's inelastic. Things that are luxury or considered unnecessary become more elastic according to their lack of necessity. So these determine what is elastic and what is inelastic. We find on the curve of demand, the higher the price, the demand becomes more elastic, and the lower the price, the demand is price inelastic. This changes on a demand curve. So remember, they've got an inverted relationship. As the price goes up, demand goes down. So the higher the percentage, the higher the price, the less the percentage of an increase as you go up in a regular. So that is a specific characteristic of the demand curve.